What if I tell you that you can grab anything you want, duct tape them together and then use that to smash some zombies down? That sounds in theory pretty epic, but let's see how that looks in practice in Requisition VR, a new action survival shooter designed specifically for VR with, according to the developers, insane crafting mechanics and the ability to make traps to fight hordes of zombies. Let's take a look.
The show must go on. Lights, camera, action.
When starting the game, you are welcomed by this pretty epic menu, and I would never imagine reviewing menu screens, but VR has changed that. It sets the vibe of the game really well and it got me hyped to dive straight in. And in the menu we have the following options: tutorial, single player, multiplayer and settings. Now first things first, I highly suggest you play the tutorial, as this is a crafting game normally in VR that comes with a lot of mechanics to remember when you play it for the first time. And for Requisition VR that is also the case. In the tutorial you will learn how to quickly grab your backpack, grab items from your left and right pouch, and just after that you will learn how to make your first weapons. And that you can do by just finding any type of item and just duct tape them together. At the very start you might have to get used to the controller layout, but after that I have to say that they have made it very easy to just create weapons. Because when holding an item you can hold down either the X or A button on your controllers and that will highlight some areas on the item you are holding that you can attach things to. The developers say that there are over 500 items to scrap together with duct tape to create your perfect weapon. Besides making weapons, you can also craft traps and bombs that you can create at specific workbenches, which tell you which materials it needs to craft something. When holding an item, you can see whether it's an electrical item, it's made out of wood or metal. And if for some reason you are completely out of wood or scrap, you can always reach for your hammer and salvage stuff. Now when grabbing all these items, you will quickly notice that nothing clips through each other, which is always the first thing I do and test in VR games, as it makes the game, in my opinion, much more immersive. Even the hands don't clip through each other. Great job here. And last but not least, once you are introduced to the climbing in the game, I was pretty happy to see how good that worked as well. In some games, climbing is still very clunky in VR, but in this one, in Requisition VR, it worked extremely well. Now once you pass the tutorial, you can dive into a single player game, and if you click on single player you are put into your shelter. In the shelter you can change the way you look, which has many different options. The shelter has some rooms and of course a basketball to fully stress you out when not hitting the hoops. Or you can spice things up and attach a knife to the ball and pass it along to friends, cause yes, the game can be fully played in co-op as well, with up to 4 players in total. The story in the pre-release only offered 2 maps and I hope they add more, because this now is just lacking story content. But as the game is still in early access, we are definitely seeing more, I guess. Now when diving into a story map, you are first welcomed by a nice cinematic that gives a bit more context of what the mission is about. After that you are loaded into a map and on your left wrist you can select the quest overview to see what you have to do. For example, collect a battery, charge it and then attach it to a destroyed boss. Now I have to say that the difficulty felt very easy. I just taped 2 hammers together or found myself a longer hammer and just bashed in some zombies one by one. Making traps, bombs or crazy other weapons felt useless, as a simple hammer was just enough to do the job. So I really hope they scale up the difficulty of the AI much more in the future, as I see some really nice potential in this crafting killing zombie game with a nice story. Now if you are tired of co-op and smashing zombies, you can always choose to smash your friends, because besides co-op there is also deathmatch, which allows for some PvP gameplay. In PvP you are dropped into a map and your goal is to score as much kills as possible. Now me and my friends after some minutes were pretty tired of it, as we all thought that this is much more of a gimmick than an actual game. But perhaps maybe more playthroughs will change that, but remember, in my opinion, you want to buy this game for the story mode in co-op. And last but not least, the game also offers an horde mode in where you have to fight waves of zombies trying to survive for as long as possible. Now the graphics for me on my rig looked pretty nice and I had no problems whatsoever with lags or stutters. My friends, however, especially when lots of zombies spawned, had quite a lot of stutters, lags and audio problems, and they all have rigs that well meet the minimum requirements. So if more players experience this, the devs should really fix this. Now in my reviews I never tell you to buy a game, you would have to make up that for yourself. I can only tell you that if you are looking for a funny zombie slashing co-op game, then I think it's worth it if you really like the crafting mechanics, which makes this game to other zombie games very unique. If that crafting thing is not really your thing, but you are looking for a nice zombie co-op game, a zombie slashing co-op game, then I would go for After the Fall in my opinion. But hey, the game is still in early access and many more things might be added to the game later, so if you want to know the latest updates of this game, just visit the Steam page. There might be a demo out there that you can try as well. Now I hope this gave you a quick insight of the game, and don't forget that if you want to keep up to date with the latest PC VR updates, then subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you all in the next video. Ciao ciao.